Thanks everybody for coming. You picking that up there, back there, okay? All right. As she said, my name's Joel Shores. I'm a major with the Sheriff's Office. This December will be 27 years. So with my sick time and everything, I don't like very much more, and I can go do whatever I want to do. But let me tell you kind of how I come about doing this. For some of you that don't know, this is a passion of mine. I consider it kind of a ministry. Thank goodness Sheriff Norman has allowed me to get out and do it. But we find that it's very educational, and it's not, typically if I go, first of all, let me ask you this. How many of you have got grandchildren or children that's 21 or below? Oh, okay. All right. Then you're going to leave here and you're going to go home and you're either going to jerk their parents, which will be your children or your children's phones out of their hands. But I sit on the Juvenile Crime Prevention Task Force, or whatever Juvenile Crime Prevention Council is what it's called, JCPC. Yeah. And we went to a symposium in Greensboro in 2014, and it had a class, and you get this lineup of classes, and you get to pick which ones you want to go to. So I decided, hey, I'll go to this internet sexting one. So I go in there, and I left, hopefully like some of you will tonight, going, unbelievable. And I said, that's got to be going on in Cleveland County. And I come back, and I did a presentation, about 27 people, I think, at my very first presentation. And after that presentation, I started getting calls coming in to me about what their kids were doing. And I started going in and talking to kids, and everybody's like, wow, you've become such an expert on this. How do you know so much? And I'm going to tell you how I know so much. I've talked to now, since 2014, I've estimated the other day, I've talked to probably over 4,000 tweens or teens. And what I mean by tween, we used to didn't have that word. It used to be teens. But I'm going to tell you what, the tweens are the ones that's doing it. And that's your 9, 10, 11-year-olds. It's amazing what they will tell me. It's simply amazing what they'll tell me. And I've talked to probably over 1,000 adults over the last couple of years. So my experience has come from going into schools and talking to kids and researching and keeping up with stuff as I see it in the news. I do have a social media account, and everybody always forwards me all the stuff that they get. Do any of you have social media? Either Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, or anything like that. If you don't, great. Don't get it. It's not worth it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a few minutes. But I said I did have a Facebook page, and this came across Facebook one time, and I thought, wow, that is so true. It says, worst drug ever created by man. And if you'll read that, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, all the stuff I just basically said to you is an addiction, especially to our teenagers and to many of our adults. Now, you don't think of somebody that lived way, would have never dreamed. When I was growing up, you know what the big discovery was when I was growing up was the microwave, okay? So I know most of you are probably my age or a little older in here. You never dreamed of a smartphone. I never dreamed of a smartphone, okay? And I still consider myself pretty young, okay? But imagine what this man thought back in the day when he says, I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction, the world will have a generation of idiots. And look who said that. He lived before any of us in here did, but he knew what he was talking about. And as I go through this presentation tonight, I think that you will think, wow, we're raising a generation of idiots. And I'm say that into the fact that, do any of you own a business? Do any of you hire? I'm telling you what, this millennial crowd, and I hear it from everybody, from business owners, that they don't want to work. And then when they come in and work, if somebody over here offers them a nickel more, they're moving. They're not here to do a career. We can't keep them. I mean, at one time we had 0 applicants for sheriff's deputies. 0. They used to run 3 BLETs through Cleveland Community College. Now they're down to 1, and they're lucky if they can fill it because they have to have a minimum of 10 to run to college. Think about that. Yep. Okay, just to give you a little idea about this sexting, when I talk about sexting, there's all kind of ways you can sext. You can have a sexting conversation. Do you understand? Talking nasty and stuff like that. But when I say sexting, I'm referring to naked pictures, okay? Or naked videos, okay? So, 2015, a sexting scandal, I'll not read all this, occurred in Long Island. Where's Long Island? New York. What coast is New York on? East Coast, it's northeast, right? Colorado, 2015, the sexting scandal occurred. Where's Colorado? Southwest, right? One state away from the coast. Doesn't it butt up to California? Okay? You can't really see what I have in red here, but if you kind of look in the middle where it says what the principal was talking about, it said, well, everybody's doing this. Do you see that up there? I don't know if this thing has a little pointer or not, but make sure I don't. Look at what I just did. You're exactly right. But anyway, I'll not do that again. But anyway, he says right there about middle where everybody's doing this. And then the very last thing he says, it's hundreds. I mean, it was flooring us how many photos we were finding on the phones that we confiscated. Okay? Come on in. So Colorado, New York, I say this, and I bring this up to say this is just not a Cleveland County problem. This is a national problem. Okay? So, as I told you, I did my first class in 2015. I think it was January 2015. I didn't have near the information I have now. I mean, I was just basically where I'd got my information. I went in and I talked to kids at high schools, middle schools. At the time, I was over school resource officers. I have a key. I could get in every school. And I'd go in, sit down, and talk to them during lunch. And I said, look, I ain't going to put you in jail. I just want to know what's going on. Well, let me tell you. And I'm like, whoa, you know. So I did my first class. Mostly friends. Mostly people didn't have a clue what I was going to be talking about. Neither did I, really. And the next day, I get a call from one of my friends. She's crying. She says, Joel, you need to come. You need to talk to my daughter. And I said, what about? She said, I went home after your class and I started looking through her phone and you will not believe what I found on her phone. I said, well, bring her up here to the office and I'll talk to her tomorrow. Well, I can't remember what day that was. She was 15. She was on this app, and you're going to hear me talk about this app a little bit later, but there's so many out there now. But at the time and still, there's an app called Kik, K-I-K. And there's another thing that I know every one of your teens have that you need to get rid of, and that's Snapchat. Okay? And you're going to hear me talk about those two things, Snapchat and Kik. If they're on your children's phones, they need to be off. But anyway, she's on this Kik app, and I start scrolling down, and she's progressively talking to 5 different men, or who she thinks is men. We don't know who they are. They're claiming to be men. She progressively gets naked to the point where the last picture I see, the mother hadn't saw this one, is she has her legs spread wide open, completely nude, and has a Sharpie marker stuck up in her vagina, and took a picture and sent it to 5 different men. Okay? And I talked to this girl, and she just crying. I asked the mom to step out. She's not sexually active. Now imagine, I believed her because I just saw her completely naked with an object up in her vagina. I believe she's going to be honest with me. I mean, I really did. She said, I felt I wasn't pretty, and these guys made me feel pretty. And I had a 15-year-old that used to travel with me, and she would get up and give her testimony. I caught her doing it, and I gave her the option of, you can go around and help me, or I'm going to charge you. And she took the option of going around and help me. And she was a Burns Middle School student, which she's no longer there because she got bullied so much because of what she'd done. But she just told me that basically everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. She'd get up and tell you that everybody's doing it. And she said there's 2 things you got to know. And this is coming from a 15-year-old back in 2015. She says there are 2 kind of girls, and this just sticks in my head. She says those who can get a boyfriend, those who can't get a boyfriend. I said, okay, what's that important about? She says, if you can get a boyfriend, guess what all the boys want now? A naked picture, right? If you can't get a boyfriend, where do you go to find attention? The internet. There's millions of them that will pay you attention. but they'll tell you you're beautiful, blah, 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 and they'll lead you all the way up to getting these girls. And you're going to hear me talk about the development of the mind a little bit here, to take their clothes off and take pictures of themselves. Another parent, same class. I pick up my phone one day, get a text, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, is an 11-year-old girl completely nude. I text this woman back, I said, why did you send me this? She said, I just got it off my son's phone. I said, tell me about it. Her son's friend, this was his girlfriend. In other words, the guy had his girlfriend send him a picture, and he sent it to his friend whose mom found it on the phone, okay? So here's a little 11-year-old completely naked, okay? I want to say this while I got it on my brain, because I find it very, very discouraging, that I have more problems and I have more requests to come to churches and talk to youth groups than I ever dreamed I would. I know we say we bring our kids up and we do them, treat them right and all this, and that's not true. It affected me personally. I have a cousin. She could quote the Bible inside and out, and she's in church on Sunday night, just great girl. She ended up doing it. I had another girl that would travel around with me. Her mama said of all the girls I had, she had 4 girls. She said, I never would have dreamed this one would have done it. She said she loved the Lord. She said she would just pray and do all this stuff. Now it got so bad that she ended up getting converted over to another religion. And thank God she finally got converted back to her roots of Christianity, that it got so bad with this internet stuff and the pictures and the sexting. And she's telling me about how when she was going to church, the youth group would get together, and late at night that they would get and talk to these Marines and have them come pick them up and stuff in the middle of the night. And it was just unreal. I did my second class. Guess what? Get a call the next day. Joel, my daughter needs to come to your next class. I'm like, well, my next class is for an adults, because I don't say the word vagina and stuff like that when I'm talking to teenagers. It's just not appropriate. She said, I don't care. After what I've seen on her phone, she can hear whatever you got to say. And I said, what did you find on her phone? Well, she's got her and another girl sharing pictures with each other, and they're having sex in my bathtub, and they're sharing it with everybody, and they're videotaping it. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, she came to my next class, and she could answer more questions than I could, because a lot of the people, and she voluntarily threw it out there. And the parents were like, and she's like, I'm serious, parents, it's going on. If you think your daughter's not doing it, or your son, you're in another world. Some of you may remember this, because it made the news, made the paper, where we ended up charging the little 11-year-old girl at Burns Middle School. She was making videos of herself masturbating and shared them with a guy. The guy comes into class, says, I want more videos, or I'm going to share this with everybody in the school. We bring her in, we're interviewing her, a little 6th grader, 11-year-old. Masturbating, and she's been charged with a felony. She's been kicked out of school, and you know what her greatest concern was when we were sitting there talking to her? When do I get my phone back? She wasn't worried about nothing but when she was getting that phone back. Last year or year before last, I went to Burns Middle School. I was talking to 75 8th graders. I said, you got a choice, 2 days without food or 2 days without your phone. Who's going to take the 2 days without food? All 75 raised their hand. They are addicted to these phones. If you have grandkids or kids, think about it. How often do they stay on their phone? Okay? But what also did she tell me? Everybody's doing it. You remember what the principal in Colorado said? Everybody's doing it. I had one right here in your backyard. This is Burns Middle School District, right? Tell me everybody's doing it. Parents bring in a 14-year-old. This one really bothered me, and I'll tell you why, but guess what she told me? Everybody's doing it. And her parents had taken the phone away from her as a disciplinary action. But the boyfriend went and bought another phone and hid it, and they found it and found the videos. She's getting up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. She'd put the phone on her bed, hit record, and get over there and then completely undress and send this video to the guys. Or to the guy, excuse me. Her mom, her, and her dad were in my office. They were sitting from me to that bench right there. And I told her this story. This story I'm going to tell you did not occur in North Carolina. Did not occur in Cleveland County. It did occur in North Carolina. Boy and a girl have sex. The girl is a minister's daughter. After having sex, she becomes very, very guilty, feeling very, very guilty. Tells the guy, I don't want to have sex till we get married. That's how it's supposed to be. She did not know before they had sex, he put the phone over in the corner and hit record. He said, oh yeah, you're going to. I'm going to show this to your mom and daddy. Well, do you think this girl wanted her mom and daddy to see a video of her having sex? Absolutely not. Not only did he make her continue to have sex with him, he made her have sex with 5 of his friends. Now, I've got this mama and this girl and this daddy sitting there, and we're talking, and I tell her that story. I said, what if your boyfriend that you sent these videos to was going to send it out in school, make you have sex with 5 of his friends? She didn't miss a beat. She looked at me. She said, I guess I'd had sex with 5 of his friends. That's somebody right here in Cleveland County, folks. These girls will do whatever to keep these videos and pictures that they don't think about before they send out to keep from getting released. Imagine, most of you are women in here. Go back to when you're in school, knowing that when you're getting ready to walk in, everybody's going to know what you look like naked. Imagine the bullying you're going to get, the fun that's going to be made of you, and these girls know that. Sexton report, April 20th, 2015, parents report found their 11-year-old was taking pics. Folks, the current school board we have has been fighting me, and some of you will backlash, but please listen to me why I say this. I think phones need to be out of schools, and I'm getting ready to tell you why I believe that. I had a phone call one day from a person in the whose daughter was in the middle school. She wore white pants that day, had her period. Imagine what happened. Everybody started snapping pictures of her bloody pants and sending them around school. That should have never happened. I had another woman call me. She said, Officer Shores, I want to let you know something. My daughter will not go to the bathroom a whole entire day of school. I said, why? She said, because she was sitting on the john one day doing her business and somebody stuck a phone above the thing and snapped a picture of her. That should not happen, folks. That should not happen. This girl right here is 11 years old. Shouldn't even have a phone, in my opinion. But the day she wears dresses to school, she doesn't wear panties. And she'll sit there at her desk and take pictures of her crotch and send it to her boyfriend during school. Okay? Do you understand now why, if the school system wants to focus on bullying, stop the root of the problem, most of it comes across this cell phone? Now, how many of you have grandkids that you want to be safe if an emergency situation ever occurs? Y'all remember back in 2003, we had a guy discharge a firearm in Burns Middle School. How many of you remember that? Okay, we had media beating us there then. This is before cell phones ever happened. Imagine a serious situation happened in a high school. We have 4 911 operators. How many calls are going to 911? 911 is getting shut down. They're not even going to be able to communicate to us to where to get to. Okay? Do y'all understand where I'm coming from? We live up here in the north end. If your child or grandchild texted you and said there's a man in the school with a gun, how many people in the north end are going to pick up their gun and head to that school? I drive up, I've got a report, man, Burns High School with a gun. I drove up and it's one of you with a gun and I shoot you. What's the news going to say? I killed a father. They're not going to say, I got a call saying there was a man in the school with a gun trying to kill the kids, and that was who I thought it was when I drove up, and I shot him. No, it's going to be officer shoots father. Okay? Do y'all realize that these kids, they know how to put things into the cloud? They can take pictures of tests, put it in the cloud, first period, fourth period, come in, take it out of the cloud. Okay? They snap pictures of tests. Please, do y'all understand my point of why cell phones need to be out of schools? The school board, they don't want to hear me. And that's okay, but that's my little reasoning why. Do any of you know where Lawndale is? Lawndale man is facing sex charges. Police exchange students contacted an 11-year-old boy through his Xbox. Okay. Now, when I first started doing this presentation, I did not realize Xbox had the capability to get hooked up to the internet. But any device that can get hooked up to the internet is a problem. What is my youngest here in Cleveland County that I know of that sent a naked picture of themselves? Do y'all want to take a guess? 7-year-old second grader from Union Elementary. Second grade boy. Okay? And you're thinking, boys, this is a boy. Why are boys sending naked pictures to men? I won't explain that to you because I couldn't understand it to begin with myself. I'm like, why are boys, little boys, sending pictures to men? I'm going to explain that. Okay, parents report their 8-year-old boy is trading pictures with 3 men on his Xbox, his iPad, and his Snapchat. How many of you are familiar with Snapchat? Okay, it's an app you can download on your phone that when it was originally developed, I could take a picture of this gentleman right here and send it to you or send it to somebody, and it would show up on your phone for 8 to 10 seconds and it'd go away. No longer be able to see it again. Okay? So why do you think the people who created Snapchat? For sexting. Make girls more comfortable in sending naked. Oh, if he can only see it for 10 seconds and it goes away, I can send a naked picture of myself, no big deal, right? Well, the teens learn how to what they call screenshot. Do y'all know what screenshot is? That is, if something appears on my phone, whatever that is right now, if I push these 2 buttons, I just took a picture of all those numbers. So what they would do, the guys and gals would get ready, when the picture appeared, they'd screenshot it. So now they had the picture forever anyway. But Snapchat is just not good. Okay? Again, I'm going to try to speed up a little bit in the interest of time. Y'all see where I'm going with all this? What I'm showing you so far was only 6 months of what I personally dealt with. And I was a captain. I wasn't an investigator. I was a captain. Okay? This is January to July that I dealt with, first 6 months. This one I love to share with the teens. The boys go like that. 10-year-old gets on porn site, meets who he thinks is a 25-year-old female. She says, send me a naked picture of yourself. He's like, no, I ain't going to do that. Send me a naked picture. No, I ain't going to do that. She said, okay, I'll send one of me to you. So she sends him, 25-year-old, sends a picture of her naked to this little 10-year-old boy. Okay? You think he sends one back now? Absolutely. We investigate it. It's a 55-year-old man. Okay? There's so many fake, I think half of the fake profiles are fake that are out there on social media now. It's so easy to create. I had a guy call me today. He's an adult. He's older. He's probably in his 60s or 70s. He had a sister that was very large. Okay? She's lost a lot of weight. His sister's probably in her 40s or 50s. And he sent me a screenshot of this picture that somebody had put and created an Instagram account and put her and said, called her name, will be a fat ASS, will always be a fat ASS the rest of her life. He called me and said, what can you do about it? I said, nothing. This was an adult who was overweight that's being bullied, and he said it's been shared 27 times. The thing is, we may could do something with the person who originally created it and sent it out, but once it hits the internet, it's gone. And I'll talk more about that to you that in just a minute as well. July, 14-year-old girl. I'm talking to her. I'm looking through her phone. She's on Kick. I'm seeing all these men she's sent these naked pictures to. I said, how many men have you sent naked pictures to? I said, 5. She goes, more. I said, 10. I go, 15. More, 20. She said, I don't remember. So all those pictures she's seeing are out there and forever. As I said, that was January through July. That was a 6-month period that I personally dealt with. It's only gotten worse. At the time, we had downloaded approximately 700 phones. 65% of those belonged to someone under age 18. Approximately 90% of those who are under 18 had naked pictures on them. And I'll explain to you how we come about a lot of these phones. This is today's playground. All right. Here's where I started. It really got me thinking when I seen all these boys were out there sending pictures. I'm like, why is these little 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old boys sending naked pictures of themselves? I don't understand it, but I could kind of halfway understand it, girls sending them to boys. It's the hormones start going and all that. I could halfway understand it, but I couldn't understand the boys sending it to men. But this was read at the American Psychiatric Association annual meeting in 2013 by Dr. his name's Lee, yeah. He said the number of adolescents addicted to smartphone use will increase because of popularization of smartphones is an inevitable social trend, and the younger they are, the more vulnerable they are, okay? The younger they are, the more vulnerable they are. It goes on to list of stuff, and I'm going to read the 4th paragraph. These are highly predictive of addictions. Our earlier studies showed that using it in particular situations was associated with smartphone addiction, such as using it when going to bed or in the bathroom. Recently, we have also heard that smartphone overuse by youth is associated with depression, more exposure to obscene material, and even suicide. Folks, I meant to bring a thing. Did y'all see the story where the boy sent a naked picture of himself out? The principal called him in, confronted him about it. He went home, blew his head off. Some of you may have meant to. It's going on every day across the country. The study of nearly 200 adolescents showed that those who were very high users of smartphones had significantly more problematic behaviors, including somatic symptoms, attention deficits, and aggression than those who were low users. How many of you know an adult that you think's addicted to their smartphone? An adult. How long can you keep their attention? They're addicted. Remember, the younger they are, the more vulnerable they are. So you give a little kid a smartphone, they're going to become addicted very quickly. All right? Some of you may remember there was an incident where a boy in a middle school in Charlotte was able to get 75 pictures of 75 different girls naked. He created this Dropbox, and there was 2 middle schools and 1 high school. He sent it out to all of them and told them to rate them 1 through 75. Now, first of all, he was able to get his hands on 75 girls. They had to voluntarily take the pictures. None of them were taken by so evidently boyfriends were saying, oh, I'll get my girl to send you a picture and I'll send it to you. It's kind of a plan. So he got 75. Imagine how many is going on if he was able to get his hand on 75. But in this interview, the professional got on there. It was on Channel 9. The professional got on there and said, it's the new addiction for teens. Okay? New addiction for teens. I want to show you this video, and I want you to pay attention to what the specialist says, and we'll talk a little bit about it. But once he can get it up, there's a couple things I want you to pay close attention to, especially when she starts talking about drugs and sex and the development of the brain. Okay?
I don't like talking to people, so I rather text you.
I can't concentrate without texting.
It does affect my schoolwork. I can't let my phone go.
Mine stays right next to me all night.
I would say I am addicted.
Texting teenagers, consumed by it, morning, noon, and night.
I get up at a certain time of night just to check my phone and see like who's texting me, what's going on Facebook or anything.
I have to know where it's at.
I get frustrated when people don't text me back and I send you a message. That irritates me. So I downloaded the app on my phone that shows me when you read my message, so I know that you get it.
Well, these days, the clicking of those thumbs have gone from sending fewer words to more images, graphic images.
I have a sexting addiction. If someone texts me, they might start the conversation off talking about sex, and I'll just go therefore with them, just talking about sex, about if we're going to have sex, what kind of clothes I have on at the moment. It could be pictures at times. Not naked pictures, maybe pictures of like a sports bra and shorts, but that's it, nothing else.
Recently, 2 people at school, she sent a picture to him and he ended up getting mad at her, so he sent it around the school.
We have 10, 11, 12-year-old children that are sexting.
Donna McKinley has worked closely with teenagers for 30 years as a youth culture specialist.
They'll actually have group sex where you've got 3 or 4 people texting together and talking themselves through sexual acts.
Features like FaceTime and Skype on cell phones have made sharing that explicit video much easier.
I wasn't ever going to do it until there was a time where a boy texted me and started talking about it, and after that I just got used to it, and like I've been doing it since then.
The explanation behind why children sext is in how their minds function. McKinley says the section of the brain that processes emotions is fully formed by preteen age, but the portion which deals with reasoning isn't developed until at least age 25. And that's not all.
The same part of the brain that a drug touches is the same part of the brain that sexual addiction touches. It's the same thing.
That's one reason she says parents who cite safety as a good reason to give their child a fancy cell phone should think twice about their decision.
It's like telling a child, I want you to be safe, so therefore I'm going to give you a loaded gun to carry in your purse.
And what's happening over Wi-Fi or 3G networks is having a direct impact on young girls' self-esteem.
If no one responds to my text, I'm going to feel like, oh my God, did I say something wrong, or they didn't like what I said?
My mood definitely does change when I don't receive a text message, especially from somebody I like. So yeah, I kind of get angry.
You feel important when somebody, wake up like, oh, I want to text Tranisha, You feel important if somebody want to text you like, oh, they thinking about me.
You need to snoop. You're not your child's friend. You are the parent.
The solution, McKinley says, is for parents to intervene immediately and unapologetically.
If you have a teenager, you should be taking that phone away from them at 10 o'clock at night. You need to be looking at what's been going on their cell phone. I have a good kid. My kid doesn't do da-da-da-da-da. It is a part of their culture.
I had a pastor ask me to come to the Baptist church in Lowell, which was right near Gastonia. He said, "Don't you come? I want you to be the morning service." I'm like, "Okay, be glad to do my presentation." So I called him a couple of days before. I said, "Now, how exactly do you want me to present this? I mean, I'm the morning church service. I mean, you're going to get up, sing songs, and praise God and all this stuff." And I didn't have a problem with that. My dad's a preacher. I'm a Christian. I'm not ashamed of it. I just wanted to make sure I was, not going in the house of God and doing something crazy. He said, "Well, can you make it spiritual?" I'm like, now, what I've said so far, folks, how do I make that spiritual? Okay? But God laid it on my heart that the devil is going to use whatever tool he can to take your children or grandchildren. And it just dawned on me, what greater tool than a smartphone to destroy. Look at over the last 5 years where this world has become. Y'all maybe not see it like I do through my eyes, but in this ain't just Cleveland County. Folks, we're thinking and planning on building a new jail, okay? But Cleveland County's population is decreasing. And Gaston County, we call and say, "You got any beds?" No, we got 45 on the floor. It's happening everywhere. And now we're letting little simple things go because we don't have room for them in jail. So a little simple misdemeanor charge now that somebody might have got a couple of days for, the judge has said, "We'll give you probation." Anyway, I'm preaching. I need to stop that. But anyway, Supreme Court. The Supreme Court took formal notice of an overwhelming amount of scientific data demonstrating that immaturity is also physical. Juvenile brains are growing up and only finish growing at around age 25. This evidence, the court cited, demonstrated that parts of the brain central to understanding consequences are the last to grow. So, you got a little 11-year-old. Her boyfriend saying, "Oh, I'd like to see a picture of you naked or a video." Does she think about the consequences? No. Doesn't even cross her mind. I was sharing this with a lady. She's cutting my hair. And just about the brain development and all this, about what did that lady say? The same part of the brain that a drug touches is the same part of the brain that what? Sexual addiction touches. And we were just talking, I gave her a Reader's Digest version of this stuff right here, and she just started crying. why are you crying? Because she had a teenager. She said, I get it now. I said, what do you mean I get it? Her and her husband had divorced. She said, my ex-husband. I said, what in the world has this got to do with your ex-husband, what I just said? She said, well, I get it. She said, what? She said, well, she's a very attractive lady. She said, but he has remarried this woman, and she said, she's probably had 11 surgeries. You understand where I'm coming from? Nip and tuck and all this stuff. But she said, he always told me that when he was growing up, that him and his cousin always went out and stole Playboy magazines and Penthouse magazines. So what did they become? They become addicted when they were young to this sexual image, and he still to this day has to have his woman looking what Playboy and Penthouse look like. Normalization is defined by a process which an idea, concept, or behavior becomes an accepted part of societal culture. Once this occurs, it's considered just the way it is and becomes viewed as beneficial or preferential. What was the thing that the lady stressed at the end? It's a part of their what? Culture. Have we allowed it to happen? Yes, absolutely. Okay? I know there's a big thing going on right now about the NFL players not standing up for the national anthem, and there's a lot of stuff all over social, and I agree, they should stand up. This is the greatest country. If you ever don't believe it's the greatest country, go to a foreign country, you want to get back as quick as you can, okay? But what have we said about sex and what's going on in the world today, okay? Where is sex? Is it on TV, music, magazines, public? It's everywhere, right? Who's allowed that to happen? Us? Okay. A Minnesota sex education teacher has drawn scrutiny from parents after taking middle and high school students on a field trip to an adult novelty store. Now, I know if that happened here in Cleveland County, there would be a big backlash. But why did she think she could take her kids to an adult store? I mean, I don't get it. All right, the picture up there on the left, how many of you know what that is? No, it ain't Farrah Fawcett. Do any of you eat at Hardee's? It's a Hardee's commercial. It's a Hardee's commercial. Do any of you wear Lee jeans? Lee jeans, L-E-E. Do y'all see that middle picture? You see the word Lee? It's an advertisement for Lee jeans. Do any of you or your kids shop at Abercrombie and Fitch? You ever heard of it? There's one of their ads right there. The naked man and the almost naked woman. It's Abercrombie and Fitch written all over it. Why have we not protested them? Okay? Why does a 10-year-old need a thong? You know what that says? You can't read it, but it's got 10 for the age of 10. And over in that little green, I don't know if you can see it or not, it says wink, wink. They are marketing thongs for 10-year-olds. And everybody knows where that picture was taken on those next set of panties. It says, who needs credit cards? Everybody, you've been there. I know you have. Y'all know exactly where that picture was taken. What does that say to the girl? Don't get a job. Don't go to college. You can make all the money you need by taking off these panties. For those of you who don't realize that, that's a Walmart sticker. $2.96, I think is what it says. What have we done about it? Any of you ever read the book, The 5 Love Languages? You have? Some of you have? Gary Chapman, he's a Christian guy. He wrote one, The 5 Love Languages of Teenagers. Okay? And he put then and now. And when I put then and now is, what I'm going to show you right here, let's just go through all of them right quick. That every one of us sitting in this room has went through this, and every one of the teens from now on will go through this. Every one of us here, every one of the teens, every one of the little babies out there that's growing up right now will go through facing physical and mental changes. Everybody will do that. Entering the age of reason. We all did that. All the teens will do that. Confronting personal morality and values. We've all been through that. The teens coming up now will go through that. Thinking about sexuality and marriage. Again, we all thought about that sometime in our life. So will the teens coming up. But he said something that's added on to this generation that's coming up now. Technology. Knowledge and exposure to violence. The fragmented family. knowledge and exposure to sexuality, neutral moral and religious values. The 10th or 18 is growing up in a world that's truly post-Christian. That is what he's going to think about it. Technology. How many of you grew up with a smartphone? Nobody in this room. Knowledge and exposure to violence. I remember used to, when I was growing up, certain things come across TV, the FCC would regulate it. Y'all remember that? I mean, if there was a little bitty cuss word or something, you know, the FCC. What's on TV now? Find whatever you want. My grandparents, I remember going to their 50th wedding anniversary, and they probably was 60 or 70 years when they was married. But do y'all remember those days when you got married, you stayed married? And now and all this other stuff. Okay, I told you I went in, talked to kids. I've done a survey of 148 teens, and I said, I'm going to be doing a class. Anything you'd want me to say to your parents, counselors, teachers, anything about, and I told them what I was going to. I found out you just be honest with them. Just tell them what you're going to do, and they'll tell you. One come in their cheerleading outfit, and she says, parents don't need to get so mad. People can press you into it or not to. Now, none of you have been through statement analysis. None of you have probably been through any kind of training on how to read what somebody says and analyze whether or not they did something. Use your common sense. Do you think this cheerleader sent out a picture of herself naked? Yes. Parents don't need to get mad. People can press you into it. Hard not to. Yeah, she had. She didn't want to admit it. I had one girl tell me to tell you guys, you need to tell your kids if they're going to do it, don't show their face. And then this one really went south. I was trying to get myself noticed. I felt nobody liked me. I felt alone. You remember? I told you the girl told me there's two kind of girls. The one that can get the boyfriend, the one that can't. And this made me mad. Now, I just had to leave on this one, and I'll explain to you why. It's rampant. I coach 2 girls sports teams, and they tell me how they get boys to send in pictures. It's not just boys enticing girls. It goes both ways. I wanted to look at her and say, what have you done about it? You coach 2 girls sports teams, and they tell you about it. You should not be sitting there listening and all that, and not calling their parents and telling them. Just my opinion. Of course, why? We've talked about this. Another thing, child bonding. Most child psychologists agree that if the emotional bonding does not take place, the child's emotional development will be plagued with feelings of insecurity. How many people know people out here that their kids are being raised by one parent? There may be somebody in this room right now that's a grandparent that's raising your grandchildren. That bonding needs to take place, and it's not happening in today's world. So, where do teens go to find love and people make them feel secure? Where do they go? You're right. It's called the internet. Used to, if girls couldn't, they sat at home and cried and wept, but now they get on the internet and do everything. Teens have a romantic view of love, not a realistic view. You have to be nosy. One of the greatest things the woman said, that if every parent would do this now, would fix a lot of these problems. You are the child's parent, not their friend. So many now, you got parents that want to be the friend before they're the parent. Do any of you know what human trafficking is? Do you understand why I am so fearful this will lead to human trafficking? The girl sends a picture to a guy, he threatens it, or you come in. You see where I'm going with this? Sextortion, extortion, same thing. Guy says, you send me more pictures, or I'm going to do this. Those extortion reports are going up daily. %48% of nude and semi-nude photographs sent to 10, 17-year-olds through text have ended up in the hands of others. All right, we're going to switch gears just a little bit. Maybe you'll get something out of this. Did any of you get anything out of what I just said? Okay. 2 things to remember on the internet. Number 1, the world can see it. For those of you who are on social media, and I listed all the social medias, how much did it cost you to join? Nothing. Are all those companies these multi-million or billion-dollar companies, how they make their money? Advertisements, okay? How many of you read all that stuff, those 20-something pages, before you clicked accept? Or did most of you do like everybody and you hooked up and you clicked accept? Let me tell you what you did in a short little sentence here. You said, I give up my right to privacy. Because when you signed up for Facebook, anything that you signed up for, you accepted that thing. If any of you ever went on to social media, then you go to Google to search for something, or you go to Amazon, or you go to eBay, and then all of a sudden stuff you were looking for is popping up all over your place, and you're wondering, how'd that happen? You gave them the right to sell your information to advertisers. So if they're in there and you're looking for a specific shampoo, I was doing I do drug talks too, and DXM is in some cough syrup. So I went on the internet and I went to Google and I was typing in cough syrups because I was wanting to get a picture to put on my PowerPoint. You'd not believe how many advertisements got sent to me about cough syrup because they were watching what I was doing. I gave them permission, and I hate that, but when you see all that stuff, it's because they've sold your IP address and all your information to the hair company, and when they see it, they say, let me send something to them right away. You go on to Google and Google your name. I got a guy that's very, very private. He just can't stand anything about the internet, and I Googled his name the other day, and there was a picture of his house popped up. He's like, because think about it. If you own a house that's in what? Taxes on the internet, they go take pictures. There's nothing private anymore, folks. Okay? But I don't care how you have your settings. You can go to Facebook and go, I want my settings private. Nah. Still, the world can see it, and you need to think about that. Okay? All right. It's never, ever, ever deleted. This is where I usually get the teens. I actually caused a serious problem at a church one night when the pastor's daughter was sitting there, because I said, how many of you here will let me, and I asked, when I go talk to teens, I say, how many of you will let me take your phone with me for a night, take it back to my office, and you and your parents come and meet with me, and let's talk about what I found on it. Out of 4,000 kids that I've talked to for the last 2 years, I've had 5 raise their hand. Okay? The little pastor's daughter didn't raise her hand, and the pastor was sitting there. Why aren't you raising your hand? Well, Daddy, I don't want him to know what's all on my phone. Well, there's nothing bad. No, Daddy, I just don't want him to know what's all on my phone. There was something bad on that preacher's daughter's phone, I can assure you. Something she didn't want Daddy to see. Okay? Now, it's never deleted. Any electronic device that you have, we're talking about cell phones tonight, iPads, laptops, desktops, whatever else they come out with, it's not deleted, folks. If any of you don't knew that, we just had a presidential election where one of the candidates tried to professionally scrub her computers and it didn't work. The FBI still was able to get her emails. Okay? It doesn't work. Okay? If I can't get it, I'll send it to the FBI. If the FBI can't get it, we'll send it to the FBI. Somebody's going to be able to get it, because when you hit delete, you can't go back and find it. But they make machines that do. Because who created all this stuff? Was it God? No, it was man. And when he created all of it, he knew how to get around all this stuff. The analogy I like to use is, back in maybe the 60s, man developed a radar. That little thing that we sit on the side of the road with and tell you how fast you're coming. Well, what happened a few years later on down the road? What did man create? A radar detector. Okay? So the man that made the radar knew exactly how to get around it. So people know how to get around all this stuff. You delete it, it's deleted, but it's not deleted off your phone. So for those of you who go and trade in your phones, I will never sell my phone to anybody. I will never trade it in. I will take a sledgehammer, beat it up, burn it, then take it out, beat it up again, because the San Bernardino terrorists, remember that about a year and a half ago? Has it been that long? They tried to destroy their cell phones, and they did a pretty good job, but the FBI still was able to get the stuff off of it. Okay? I still don't trust. I don't know what I'll do. I just don't trust. Not that I've done anything bad. It's just something about, I don't want nobody knowing my business. Y'all understand where I'm coming from? So remember, it's never, ever, ever deleted. Now, here's where you may learn something. I talked to the teens about, we have lost this. I heard a pastor the other day say we have more ways of communication than we ever have in the history of the world. But we have more lonely people now than the history of the world. Think about that. Why is it? We're texting. We're not talking to people. We're texting. There's no interaction. How many friends can we get? How many pictures can I post? Whatever. There's no human interaction. Okay? So when I tell the teens this, and I'll tell you a little bit more, that when I try to convince the teens of this, I tell them there's one thing that I can't get off of a phone. What do you think that is? A conversation. If you pick up the phone and you talk to somebody, if you don't record it or they don't record it, it's not on that phone. So I tell teens, quit texting, talk. And I'm going to tell you adults some situations. I'll just give you one example, and I'll tell you how we tell teens. We had a situation where a man, estranged husband, broke into his wife's house. She came home late at night. He pistol whipped her, held her hostage. She was finally able to escape at 6 o'clock in the morning. She runs out to the end of the road, gets away, and guess what she starts doing? Texting. She texts 3 women, telling them what's going on. Okay? Tell them what's going on. So, you think that's evidence? Yeah, it's evidence. You think the district attorney wanted those conversations to show to the jury? It says, she said at 6:15, I text Julie. Yeah. At 6:20, I texted Amy. Yeah. Right. The district attorney wanted those conversations. So we go approach the 3 ladies and say, you have a constitutional right not to give us your phone, but we feel we got enough probable cause to get a search warrant. And they all gave them up. We did have enough probable cause to get a search warrant. 2 of them just started crying when we took their phones because we found out they were running around on their husbands. Okay? And I tell teenagers, what do teenagers want to do all the time when a fight breaks out in school? They want to get out and video it. All right? And I say, okay, is fighting a crime? They say, yep. I say, you video it. Does your phone now contain evidence? Yep. I've told my school resource officers, take the phone. And we're going to see everything that's on there. Because I'm telling you, and I tell adults and I tell teens, if you have a friend that starts talking to you through text about something that could be criminal, you need to say, stop, let's talk. Do not subject your phone to being seized by us. Does that make sense? Because if you start talking, she says, my husband's beating me, and blah, 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 your phone now contains evidence of a crime. Does that make sense to you? Okay? Y'all see all these people. Do you remember the Facebook Live shooting in Myrtle Beach? I don't know if they had a shooting this past summer at Myrtle Beach. Somebody got on Facebook. I can guarantee you that phone is in Myrtle Beach PD's evidence locker right now. I know we don't want to video everything. Out of the Charlotte riots, I see all these. I know there ain't no telling. I know the Charlotte police. I need to ask them how many phones they've got seized from people videotaping crimes. Does that make sense to y'all? If you videotape crimes or somebody texts you something that's going on illegal, your phone is now subject to seizure. How's the way to prevent that? Talk. We kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We start communicating and we don't subject your phone to that. All right. Did that help some of you? Remember, it's never deleted. I always say this before you see them, post, tweet, upload, it cannot be brought back. Think before you do it. What's the first word mean in www? World. And I'm going to show you something here in just a few minutes. If somebody photoshops a picture of you and makes you naked and sends it out, who do you call to get it off? Any of you ever heard of Erin Andrews? She's a sideline reporter. I think she's on Fox now for football. A guy had a crush on her. Y'all remember this? He got a motel room beside of her. Took a little drill, put a little pinhole camera in there, videotaped her naked, put it out all over the internet. They were able to charge him. He got what he deserved. Here's the problem. I watched part of the trial, and the computer expert got up there and said basically the rest of Erin Andrews' life, she'll have to live knowing there's a video of her naked. We don't know how to get it off. what ends up in Japan, China, Mexico, Canada. Once it's on the web, don't call me and say, there's a picture of me naked on, if you don't know who done it, nothing I can do. And I tell the teens, there's a big thing now on photoshopping, especially girls in bikinis. And I think I hope I got them pictures here. Let's keep on going and see. This mom was trying to prove this point to this little girl right here back in 14. For those of you on Facebook, you understand about the shares. This thing was shared 150,000 times. It says, Mom is trying to show me how many people can see a picture once it's on the internet. I took 20 minutes, and I said, I'm just going to look through all these shares. I found every state in the United States where somebody commented. I saw it here. You see all those foreign countries? In 20 minutes, I found somebody in each one of those foreign countries. There's no doubt in my mind that picture of that little girl, somebody in every country saw. If I'd have took time to look at all 150,000 shares, which I didn't have time. But just in 20 minutes, I found those you see up there, plus every state in the United States. That ought to terrify some of you. You think criminals, please, if you go on vacation, you may be having the best of time ever and you want everybody to know, wait till you get back home. You'll not believe how many houses get broken into. The criminal wants to get in your house and get out quick, and he don't want you there. I've been doing this for 27 years. I am never and not aware of a burglary when somebody was at home at night unless it was domestic. You understand what I'm saying? People just don't go around breaking in houses to steal stuff if they think you're there. They want to do it in the day when they don't think you're there. They go in real fast. They go through all your stuff, grab electronics, what they can quick sell. You post it on there, I'm in Florida enjoying they're going to bring the U-Haul. Okay? Don't do it. Where and what do your kids, and I'll say grandkids, like to do for fun? Anybody want to shoot something out? All right, I use it. Movies, did I go to the movies? Okay? If I told you your child or grandchild was going to the movies this Friday night and I said, I know for a fact there's going to be 10 registered sex offenders there, how many of you are going to still let them go? I use that point to bring this home. That if you give your child or grandchild a cell phone, there's millions of registered sex offenders they have access to. Again, I talked to you about this earlier, Snapchat and Kik. Man 35 charged with rape after meeting girl on Kik. This is what the Blount County, Alabama District Attorney had to say. I'm begging you to take your child's phone and delete the Kik app. For those of you who's been to the class, please do not respond. Anybody else know who Nicole Lavelle is? Do you remember about maybe 2 years now, these two Virginia Tech students were charged with her murder. Her body was found in Surrey County, North Carolina. She met him online. What we think happened, they met, it went bad, he killed her, and his girlfriend helped her to get rid of the body, or try to get rid of the body. Virginia Tech, you got to have a little bit of a brain to get in there, don't you? A little bit of one. Any college, I think you had to have a little bit of a brain. How many of you post pictures of your kids or grandkids on your social media? This is where some of you's going to be mad at me. Think twice before you do it. Man steals 83 pictures of a 9-year-old girl from Facebook and posts a child porn website. Mother, he's one of my closest friends. I got a phone call from Homeland Security. He had told everybody that he was her father and he got to molest her every single day, and he was using her pictures to trade with other fathers that are on this website that molest their children. He took the innocence and made it something disgusting. Now this mama wants to get those 83 pictures off of all of these porn sites. How does she do it? She can't. Now the little 9-year-old's clothed, but it's still sickening to know that I would have a 9-year-old daughter's picture floating around these kind of sites that men are saying, oh, I have sex with that little kid. It's so easy. I can do it in 30 seconds, and I'm computer illiterate. I don't know anything about computers, but I could go to any one of your social media accounts, right-click on the picture, and it's going to say Save As, and I can save it. And I don't have it on here, but somebody created a fake profile of me, and I was like, I just wished I had the job that they gave me. But they took all my pictures off of Facebook and created, I was Donald King. And I was in New York, and I done something, I can't remember what I done. I was like, gee, wished I had the job. But Photoshopping. This is where I really get in with the teenagers and we start talking. Picture on the left, picture on the right, it's identical pictures, except the one on the right, she has breast and a vagina. Somebody took the one on the left, removed her bathing suit, and gave her breast and vagina. That is going on. And the teen girls, I say, please quit putting the pictures of you in your bikinis on your social media. 5 boys went to jail for this. You understand where the photoshopping's coming from. The one up in the air, made it look like she's pooping, okay? You go to Google right now and you type in cheerleader pooping, you're going to see thousands of images of this girl. Not only now, they've photoshopped just about every other girl on there. Who does this girl call to get this picture off the internet? When she's 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, she's got to know that when she was a cheerleader, there's a picture of her on the internet of her pooping. There's nobody we can call to get it off. You have 5 boys that originated this. We charged them, but once they released it, it's gone. Okay, we may can get the person that does it, but after that, once it's out there, I'm not going to go, in the interest of time, I'm not going to show you this. If some of you want to watch it afterwards, it's 6 minutes long. She had a photo bucket. She put her pictures in, 14-year-old Angie Verona, and she only took them in bra and panties. And the video shows her in bra and panties, and honestly, I see girls in bikinis. I mean, I would rather see some of them in bra and panties than some of these bikinis that I see some of these girls wearing. She got on photo, but she got hacked. Now you search her name, you get over 600,000 hits. There's over 60,000 images of Angie Verona on the internet. She is nude in over half of them because they photoshopped her. If you have a smartphone, I'm going to show you how sick the world has become. If you got one, take it out. I want you to go to your app store, and we may not have service up here, we'll see. If we do, I want you to go to search. And then when you go to search, I want you to type in hidden, HIDDEN, space, images, IMAGES, apps, and hit search. Hidden, space, images, space, apps. And for those of you who don't have a phone, don't worry. I'm going to show you. I've downloaded one of them on mine. But, okay. Most of them are calculators. There are some that are not calculators. Would you mind reading this out loud for me?
Okay, it says hidden egg hunt. Hunt is on to find the most eggs.
Hidden egg hunt. It's under hidden images apps. What age group looks for hidden eggs? Little bitty kids, right? Well, let me show you what a hidden image app is. I downloaded this little, if I can find it. All right, here it is. It's a calculator. Okay? You as a parent, I'm your child. You pick up my phone, you go to this app calculator. And you type in 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's a working calculator, right? So here's a parent, you pick this up, you're playing around with it. Does any of you think there's anything wrong with that calculator? Pop in, give me a number, 9 plus 3 equals 12. Working calculator. But see, when your child downloaded this app, because they're a lot smarter than we are, okay? It asks for a little code. Well, hold on, I have to get the code. Well, it's not working for me right now. But I evidently forgot my code. I thought it was 845 percentage. But it goes to a place where I can hide pictures. Okay? That really aggravates me now. Anyway, I promise you, if I hadn't forgot my code, it takes you to a place where it says files, anything. You can hide passwords, you can do all that, but it just keeps the parent from letting the parent know that the teen is hidden. You understand what I'm saying? When you pick up the phone, it's a calculator. Okay? But when they downloaded it, they asked for secret code, and I thought I knew my secret code, but yeah. I get that. You're trying to say that I'm on up there now, aren't you? Now I'll be riding down the road. No, I won't, because I can't text and drive. But I'll get home tonight and I'll be going, what happened? Well, I did on this one, because I've showed this thing at every class, and it usually just pops up all these pictures I took around the office of people that I say, see, I mean, you can hide them. And now it just, okay, I got to go on. I can't sit there. But anyway, trust me on that. But my point was, what did you read? Hidden egg hunt. Why does a kid need to hide images that's looking for eggs? You as a parent pick up the phone, it's an egg hunt. And you're looking for eggs, but the child downloaded it to hide stuff from you. We're done. Any questions?